called. That is a lot of hair. And now I'm going to hear it from Jenny.
Listen, everyone stop. This was a stupid idea. Negative reinforcement isn't working.
I think you mean positive punishment. Negative reinforcement is the removal of a positive stimulus. It's a common mistake.
Negative reinforcement is really wrong?
No, it's used incorrectly all the time. Even Bill Murray makes that mistake in the first scene of Ghostbusters.
No way. Not Bill Murray.
I'm studying the effect of negative reinforcement on ESP ability.
Okay, so we'll stop right there. So in this video, you can see they're talking about positive and negative reinforcement. Okay, so Sheldon says it's sometimes difficult to determine what type of operant conditioning we're talking about here, that oftentimes positive punishment and negative reinforcement are confused. So let's talk about what we actually do mean by these terms. So what do we mean when we talk about positive and negative? Are we talking about good and bad things? Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about the addition or deletion of something in the environment.
Perfect. Awesome. So when we're talking about something positive, we're talking about something being added. Great. And when we talk about something negative, we're not talking about it being bad, we're talking about it being subtracted. Okay, so then what do we mean by reinforcements?
More behavior.
Okay, so we're doing something to increase a behavior or to encourage a behavior, right? So reinforcements are encouraging a behavior. And then when we talk about punishments, what are we talking about? If we're encouraging with the reinforcement, what are we doing with the punishment?
Suppressing behavior.
Suppressing, yes, or discouraging. Okay, so everybody should have, in front of them, everyone should have two pieces of paper. One of them has an R on one side for reinforcement, and the other side has a P for punishment, and then the other piece of paper has a plus sign on one side and negative on the other side. And what you're going to do is I've put in some examples of your suggestions for what positive and negative things were from the pre-class activity, and we're just going to run through them and you guys decide what you think they are. So when I was in middle school, I would get mad and slam my bedroom door. My mom would take the door off the hinges for 2 weeks so I would stop slamming it. What kind of conditioning is that? Okay, so there's agreement. It is a negative punishment. And why is it a negative punishment? Why is it negative?
You're taking away the door to decrease the slam.
Right. So you're taking something away to discourage behavior. Perfect. So then for the second example, the amount of taxes you pay is decreased for charitable giving or having children. What do you think about this one? Okay, so you both agree that it's negative reinforcement. Why is it negative reinforcement?
Take away taxes.
Mm-hmm.
To encourage having kids or just not.
Or donate. Exactly. So you're taking something away so that you are encouraging the behavior of charitable giving. Okay, so if you're late to baseball practice, the coach makes you run extra laps. All right, good job. All right, so we have positive punishment, and that's because the coach is adding these extra laps to you in order to discourage you from being tardy. And then this last one, in prison, people often get their sentences reduced for good behavior. What do you think about that one? And everybody seems to be agreeing on negative reinforcement. Perfect. So part of the time on their sentence is getting taken away in order to encourage the good behavior or reinforce the good behavior. Perfect. Okay. So these are some other examples of things that you gave, and there's many more examples that people in class gave, and I'm going to put them up on Sakai so that you can use them as practice at home to run through and practice doing these. Okay, so now we have one more activity to do together. So all together, we're going to imagine that we're a therapist, or a therapist with a client, or that we have a friend that's come to us and asked us to help them with the behavior that they would like to change. And so we're going to come up with a mini therapeutic plan for them to help them go about changing this behavior. So we want to make sure that we first identify the behavior. So what behavior would you guys like to change? What would be a good behavior?
Procrastination.
Procrastination, just like in the video, exactly right. So just like the Big Bang guys, we'll look at procrastination, which is something we can probably all identify with as a behavior. Maybe not, maybe some of you are really super awesome. But I know I could work on procrastination. Okay, so we've identified our behavior. What do we want to do with the behavior? Stop it. So we want to suppress it. So we want to discourage it. So we're going to use reinforcement or punishment?
Punishment.
Punishment. Because we want to discourage it. Okay. And okay. Okay, so we want to get rid of it or to suppress it. So what kind of operant would you suggest? We know we want to do a punishment. What kind of punishment? Negative. Do you have a reason for why or an example of a type of negative?
And I want to get rid of something that's distracting me so that I stop procrastinating and go back to work.
Okay, so getting rid of the distractor. So a negative. Removing distractors. Could we do a positive punishment?
Slapping yourself with a rubber band every time you delete it.
Okay. Perfect. So the rubber bands snap. Okay, so every time you do something bad, you snap the rubber band on your wrist, or every time you get distracted. And that is a positive punishment. Okay, so why would we suggest these types of operants over another? Or to go into it a little bit more, so is punishment, what do we know about punishment and reinforcements? What do you know from the reading? Which one tends to work?
Reinforcements work more effectively than punishments.
Okay, so if we were able to do a reinforcement, maybe for a reinforcement rather than attacking the procrastination, maybe we could flip it on the other side and we could try to reinforce studying, since that works better, right? Or we know that that works better. So it kind of depends on which perspective you want to take on which behavior you want to encourage or discourage. Okay, so then how do we want to administer our punishment or our reinforcement, whichever way we tend to go?
We want to keep it consistent.
Okay, we want to keep it consistent, so you want to reinforce or punish consistently. Perfect. Can anybody think of another? How hard do I want to snap?
You want it so hard that it would hurt, so it would prevent you from procrastinating.
Okay, so the intensity of it is
Right.
going to make a difference in how well the reinforcement or punishment works. And then, do I want to snap it 20 minutes after I've already wasted time, or right when I right when I start wasting time? Perfect. So you want it to be contiguous with or right after, as close in time as you can get it with the behavior. Okay.